This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Ping.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio. Welcome to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. Joan and Janet are subtle energy empaths who navigate consciousness. Their passion is to support you in your evolution. As consciousness, we are all one. One mind, one heart, free of all limitations. Experience this reality with us and discover how it can make a difference in your daily living. Join us in a state of grace as we explore, with warmth and humor, this thing we call life. Now, here are Joan Newcomb and Janet Barrett.
Welcome to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. We're your co-hosts, Joan Newcomb, coming to you from Tacoma, Washington, and my partner, Janet Barrett's coming to you from Portland, Oregon.
Hello, everyone. How nice to be with you again. It's just beautiful here in Portland, so I hope it's nice wherever you are.
Yes, we are having a lovely day in the neighborhood as well. Today, we are talking about a spring clean remodel. As consciousness, we're collectively going through a huge energetic, you could say it's a spring clean that has actually turned into a major remodel. Yeah. We're dislodging historic patterns, we're family patterns, and everything, including the kitchen sink. So stay tuned to learn how to have this experience in a positive way and separate. Actually, I think you said this yesterday, Janet, separating the precious from the dross.
Yeah, exactly. And if you'd like to join us off our podcast or live listening, whatever you're doing, you can join us at our website, www.consciousconsversionswithjoanandjanet.com. And there you're going to find all our past podcasts. Both Joan and I write blogs each week, and you can get to connect with those there. And we also do meetups. Her up in the Puget Sound area of Washington, me in Portland, Oregon, and about our sessions, because we work individually with clients or groups. We do all kinds of different things. So, and our Twitter, social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, all that's there for you to check in and get the information about.
Yes. Annie, do you want to let them know about your groups?
Oh, sure. Yeah. For those of you that would, like a group experience like you haven't had, I'm offering on Thursdays, 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Pacific, Fuzzy Photon Playground groups. And we have so much fun. So it's live, interactive, using via, I wonder where my words are today.
Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom. Video conferencing. And it's like being here. It really is. I mean, we put our hands up to each other on the screen and you can feel it wherever we are. That's for all of those of you that are not local to me here in Portland. We have people from New Zealand and Texas and Colorado and California, lots of different places who join in. And we have this wonderful group experience doing really important personal work. It's a wonderful time. So you can contact me at janetb@janetandbeyond.com and ask for the info. There's a registration packet and all the good things that you need to know about. And I hope you'll come and join us. So, and Joan, what do you got going on these weeks?
I have meetups around the Puget Sound. I hold them in Tacoma, University Place, Seattle, and other places as necessary and needed. And updates for that is on our website, consciousconversationswithjoanandjanet.com.
Oh, it's always nice to get that all out of the way.
Yes. Well, it's also nice to let people know how to connect with us beyond the show so that we don't just, we're not just in a vacuum, we're not just these disembodied voices every week. But if you want to know more about us and how to stay in contact with us or get more juicy stuff on this topic, our website is where to find out where we are.
Yeah, I'm the brunette. She's the redhead in the picture. So it kind of helps you anger a little bit. But today we're talking about getting up, spring cleaning in our attics, wherever we might be, because this is really a time of lots of energy floating around out there that I think people really, really are open to making changes in their life. Don't you think, Joan? I mean, the time's ripe. Yeah.
The example I think about is that we're going through what turned out to be a spiritual remodel. And many people just think that they were going to just, rearrange the furniture or maybe do a slight repair in the bathroom. And then suddenly it turned out that you have to replace all the wiring and plumbing. And, there's a hole in the ceiling because you casually mentioned to the workman that you also wanted a skylight. So it's a lot more enormous than people had thought, intended, or even realized that they signed up for. Yeah. And so it can be pretty overwhelming, because the other thing is that it might have been something you just thought was going to go on in your local government, and then it's actually showing up in different areas throughout your life. So there's a lot going on. And I have to say too is that we are capable beings, whether we're feeling it in the moment or not. So we will come through this.
Yeah. And so here's, I guess, the analogy is like you inherit the family home and you go in and there's the attic and there's the basement full of all of the past family stuff, and the adventure you have in going in there and scoping it out and realizing you're the one who's going to make peace with all of it and find a place and separate out what really is precious from, and maybe was not appreciated in the time it was put down there, or whatever the circumstances might be, or in the attic. And you get to decide. And I think the time is now for that with all that's going on. And I know certainly I've been feeling a lot of physical exhaustion, because that's the way I relate to the world, is through the physical. I know some people are emotionally exhausted and they're mentally exhausted. And because I think people really are in the collective, everybody's really tired. And one thing is that we resist, or we don't identify, or we have some relation to who we are, whether we embrace it or not. And I don't think you're going to be able to not pay attention anymore. So.
Yes. And even if the circumstances in your life seem to be happening to you and feel like they're external and I didn't sign up for this kind of thing, as consciousness, you did. And as consciousness, this is an opportunity for expansion. The intention of having a skylight and a master bathroom and stuff like that is to make your experience bigger and brighter and lighter. So this process is really a cleaning out. It is a healing on an ultimate level. And you can be feeling tired, you can be feeling anxious, you can be feeling overwhelmed, all those things. And so the little you may not feel like it has any idea where this is all going, but the greater aspect of you is actually maybe excited by the challenges and the changes.
Well, I think that's what we have to realize, that this is a user-friendly state. And I've been having, between groups and clients, and I've felt this real opening in consciousness in the field of all this sacred geometry, I guess is to call it, coming in. I have the deepest certainty that we are all right. It's a very fluid sense, but that we are all right. And that if I come from that place, then what shows up is something that's entertaining, or it can be distracting, or it can be really keys to what's inside of each of us that could be maybe isn't the way you would like it to be, but it's what you've inherited or you've picked up along the way. And it's really, the world's a user-friendly place. That's just the way I hold it to be. So.
Yes, and there's a lot more to say about this. However, it is that time to go to a commercial break. So stay tuned because we're talking about spring cleaning, I could even say consciousness remodel when we come right back.
Would you like a fresh approach to the challenges you are dealing with? Take a journey into your enlightenment with Janet Barrett. Janet is a subtle energies empath, accessing the field of potential with warmth, humor, and support. She will help you to hear what your inner voice is saying. She will share with you how to appreciate who you are now and offer you new ways to understand and transform your issues. Reach her at www.janetandbeyond.com. That's janetandbeyond.com. Again, janetandbeyond.com. Transformation is possible. You can enjoy new outcomes in your current experiences. They can happen in the blink of an eye. Is your soul calling you to do something more meaningful with your life? Do you feel crazy for wanting to quit your secure job? Perhaps you are waiting until you retire to do what you love. Maybe you are too daunted to follow your dream. If any of these match your life, then Joan Newcomb's Purpose and Passion Coaching Program is just for you. In just 12 weeks, you will discover who you essentially are and why you are here. Learn to live as your greater self and navigate with conscious mastery. Go to joan-newcomb.com. That's joan-newcomb.com for all of her coaching programs.
You are listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. To reach our program, please send questions and comments to consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. That's consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. Now, back to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet.
Welcome back. You're listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. We're your host, Joan. Actually, I'm just your host, Joan, along here with Janet. And we're talking about spring clean remodeling.
Yeah, it kind of got blended. You know, we have the seasonal experiences, what we would call spring cleaning. But you and I realized that this was the remodel, right?
Yes.
It wasn't seasonal. This is upheaval that's showing up as seasonal, maybe. You know, I mean, all that's going on for people. And I think we just want to reassure people that just notice everyone, just breathe, and that whatever is pressing, just let it get a little out there more. In group last night, everybody was quite aware of their tiredness and that, and what they sense in being portals for connection. And it's exciting in a different kind of way. You know, we don't probably register it as exciting, but when you look at it more from the viewpoint of consciousness, you know, it doesn't judge, but it's like change is afoot, you know. I mean, change is expansive. Things are going on inside, so.
Well, the picture that I get is, and I've heard this as an example before, but you know, when an archer is about to shoot an arrow, what he's doing is he pulls it back at first before he releases it to propel it forward.
Yeah.
And that is my sense with this kind of exhaustion, besides the fact there has been a lot going on, but that we're about to be propelled forward. And if you can just think of how an arrow does that, it's actually, we're propelled forward and it's very free and effortless. It actually doesn't take any energy from the arrow. So, but what we're experiencing right now is that kind of, that pull, like the tide going out before it rushes forward. I'm using my mixed metaphors here.
Right. Well, okay, so here's another one then, is that, a lot of people like amusement park rides. Now, going in that either you want to, you don't want to, you had to be dragged there, or, well, I've never done this before, I'm willing to try it, and then you go have this experience. And either you knew that experience was coming or you didn't have any idea, and you're just whatever you're doing in your moment, and you get done. And when you get off that ride, you go, oh, let's do that again. Or you go, I will never do that. And why did you talk me into this? And, and all those places in between. And you forget about it. And 6 months later, there's the circus again. And you go, oh, let's do that. And you totally forgot what it was about. I think we're kind of that way with a change and how we help ourselves, and how some of us go in it backwards, but we go in it and we wind up being different for having been there. So,
Yeah, at first it sounded like you were describing childbirth, but it's like, I am never doing this again. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
So, and we do go through these natural cycles of growth and change. We go through these natural cycles of expansion. This feels bigger. This feels like just so global, universal, propelling to the next level kind of experience. And
well, you're really going to be different. See, I think that's what's different, about this, is the potential to be different for the joyride, right? It's like, we may think it's the same thing, but it's really not, because it's an upgrade, I think, because of all that's available to us. And, you and I hold awareness that we're all one, right? And that as consciousness, we're all one, just individuals sharing in that experience. And so when you go through your shift, or whatever you're experiencing, everyone around you that's connected to you is feeling that also, whether they're conscious of it or not. And so you, in coming to terms or a different place and space, really affects all of us. And that's the whole thing about numbers, and masses and how many, it's like the 100th monk principle. How many does it take in order to change the whole, to elevate everything?
Right. The tipping point.
Yeah. So, we can feel alone and isolated and overwhelmed and all these things. But the truth is that what you're going through is important for yourself, and we're doing our best to help hold awareness for all of you, our listeners, that you're doing fine wherever you are in your process. It's all right.
Yeah, you're not alone. The whole planet is going through it, whether they're acknowledging it or not. And also that change is a good thing. We can't keep moving forward unless we're appreciating change. I mean, if you stood still, you would never go to the bathroom. Yeah. Which is, kind of an important part of my daily routine. I don't know about you, but so yeah, so
trail behind you.
Right, exactly. You'd be standing in a puddle, sweetie. So that's a way to look at it, but this is major, and the part of you that it might be tired, overwhelmed, scared, or worried about this is what I would describe as your personality, your body, or the little aspect of you. And within you, there is the infinite, greater, omnipotent aspect of you, the infinitely wise expansion of you that is actually the river that is moving this along, that is amused, pleased, excited, and all those good things. So hopefully in listening to this today, it'll help reconnect you to that aspect of yourself, and that you'll come out of today's show, actually excited about what's going on.
And that's it. It's re-encoding things. you bring to mind, in being present, that's really what being present is about. In this moment, noticing who and what you feel like. And if it's turbulent, it's uneasy, whatever the definition, maybe you feel really good. That's in this moment, and you'll have another moment. The challenge for us is that you can tell when you're in your story is because you're concerned about the future. And you're really in your past at that point. You're not being present. Because the present, everything can change. But when you're worried about the future and what will come from things, that's because you're attached to how things have been. And those are done. And we're just bringing that energy forward. So when you are being present in the moment, you can let other dynamics take place, and the future changes to fit where you are in this moment. And it's really about recalibrating and reorganizing and remodeling. And you get to decide how far you remodel. Do you just change the color of the wall, or do you take it down to the lath and plaster? Do you take the wall down? Do you take it down to the bones? And in a remodel, there's always a wonderful energy there of, oh, this will be better. And you get through this process and you go, if I have to put up with this dust another couple of days, I'm going to explode. And whatever. And maybe it takes not just the day or the week, it's several months down the road and you're still in this remodel stage, And it's just how we organize being present and and that can be a challenge, but we're telling everyone, be here now.
Yeah. So I'm going to say something too, because I say similar things and different things, but about being in the present moment versus being in the past or being in the future. So you as consciousness encompass all of it, aspects, because you're outside of time and space and you comprehend all time and space. Your physical body actually only exists here in the present moment, and what's only real to it is what's happened in the past. So that's a default setting. And so there's a lot of us who we want to go back to where it felt better, except that when you were really there, you weren't there and it didn't really feel better. And so what I find is that if you're feeling heaviness or regret or sadness, kind of just a griefy, depressed kind of way, it's usually an attachment to the past or going to the past. If you're fearful or anxious, that's going to the future, because your body, the future's not real to your body. And where it doesn't exist, it's going to interpret that it's dead because it's not going to exist in 100 years kind of thing. So, so what I find is when you as consciousness, when you're very future oriented, because that's an exciting way to go, your body can get more fearful and anxious because you're not there anymore. It's like you're out running in front of the car and there's no one steering the car. So what you were saying about being in the present moment is an incredibly powerful place to be. Like you basically said, Janet, is like, this is where change happens, was when you are in the present moment. And then the future isn't set in stone. It is infinite possibilities. And so when you're in the present moment with this, then actually you have access to all those infinite possibilities. So something else came up while you were talking. I was just thinking about how when I'm in the present moment, it's this incredibly infinite place to be. And then immediately this part of me is like, oh no, I don't want to be in this agony for a really expansively long time. And it's like, no, when you're, wait a minute, body, that's not what I meant.
Those voices. Yeah. Okay.
And so actually what I have found when I am in the present moment, it's not limiting. It is, as I said, it's infinite, and the pain from the past dissipates, and it's a very delightful place to be, is right in the present moment. It's a wonderful sense of that it all is very, very well, and also that you have choice to move in any direction you want.
One thing that comes to mind, like I had a client yesterday, and I think this is true for all of us. This is something we do. She's aware of her fear. And you can have fear about a lot of different things. But everything she relates to is about fear. And when we got into it, she was calling things fear because that's that state that she's used to recognizing things as. And it was really anxiety.
Yes.
And when we called it anxiety, that helped break this huge thing that fear had become. And now we started to see that the fear of the fear was active, and that what she had been lumping as that, because that's the way she frames everything, was not that. And that in doing that, that was helping her to appreciate where she had made choices, because she didn't want to feel anxious. So in the way she'd wrapped her story up, fear was okay in the sense that it wasn't anxious, right? And how unsettled that is. And, I keep going back to the awareness of long ago when they said 50% of the choices you make as an adult are based on by age 5. 50%. So 35% by age 8. So who were we before age 8 is running 85% of the decisions you're making as an adult? So, you look at your child, your 5-year-old child, your 6-year-old child, your 3-year-old child that you may have real in your house, and you go, I expect you to make these choices for the rest of your life, is really what you're doing. And we all know that 3 and 6 and 5-year-old, whatever it is, doesn't have the place to be making the choices because they can't take in the information that the adult is. And we do this to ourselves. And so we have to stand back a bit and go, all right, how's this story running and where's it coming from? And if I take that out of there, right? And I love that child and I love that pattern so that it just has no reason to be anymore. What happens? That's where we are right now, I think.
So a couple things with that. And the second part first, since I just forgot the first part, but about, we carry our inner kids with us. Mm-hmm. And so it was about fear and anxiety. So we carry our kids with us, and when the thing is, when you're triggered or when your fearful stuff comes up, suddenly the kid is driving the car, but the kid's already feeling really insecure, so they don't know how to drive yet. So I have actually literally put them in the back seat, I have a car seat there, or if it's a teenager, they go in the far back. And,
far back.
You can listen to your music in the very far back kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But it was an interesting definition that you just gave. So just to let you know, that does calm your body down to know that you as the adult self or as consciousness are driving the car and, not the 3-year-old. So there's that. But it was interesting, the definition between fear and anxiety, because I would think that fear is a more powerless place to be in. Because the fear at its core is that, that you are going to die, that your body is going to be attacked and no more. But anxiety is a step away from fear. So it's you can do something about anxiety. You can calm anxiety down.
The adult knows that. I don't think the child knows that. They
so
just
this
feel
is,
the
again, this is about you then get who's in the driver's seat.
Right.
Who's driving the car? Do they have a license?
Well, I think it's recognizing who's in the driver's seat. That's the first thing. Because most people are going to say it's them.
Right. They're not even going to define the differences.
Yeah. So, you have to stop and go, just a minute, breathe. All right, get into that place. And by the end of our session, that relaxation was taking place, right? And all the steps that we take to clear information being able to be received is important, because we can be triggered by lots of things. Even talking about our problem can trigger us. So, so you never get into what is really the meat of it. It's just the fact that you're, thinking about it, and that triggers you off. So you have to find ways to navigate what's showing up. And if you start from a place of being heart-centered and in the terms of the core essence of all and as consciousness, and realizing that just takes the emotional content way down, and then you allow yourself to notice from that place, and you're not in a reactive mode, you're in a responding mode, which makes a difference. So there's a lot of people reactive out there.
Right.
And some people just play off the distractions of reaction, right? I mean, that's the problem with social media and the challenges of social media and things, is that you can get really caught up in things that are just, whoa, what's going on opposite, because you're so focused over there. And anymore, when I feel that polarizing pull, I go, just a minute, what am I not noticing here? And, some people are very skilled at the art of distraction. So.
Well, yes. And the other thing that I am aware of within myself and I am noticing is that our extrasensory perceptions are heightened. Our sensitivities are heightened more so than ever before. So we are empathically feeling more than we ever have before.
Mm-hmm. And that's exciting. In one sense. In the other sense, it might seem troublesome, but I think that's how you relate to being empathically oriented, which we all are.
But people aren't used to this. They think that it's all their own feelings.
Right.
And that adds to the overwhelm, because suddenly I am feeling just desperately sad for somebody 6,000 miles away. And in the opposite direction to the one that I'm related to 6,000 miles away. But so at
least you had clarity where they were and who it was, right? And a lot of people don't. Yeah.
Not necessarily.
They just know they're sad.
Actually, not necessarily. So the thing that's been happening to me recently is I will feel someone moving into my space and I will feel their emotional state. And I'm actually grateful for that because I'm starting to discern that it's not my emotional state. But what's so interesting is as I'm standing there, the registration is, this emotion is mine. It's like, well, no, it's not, because all my normal stuff to shift or change doesn't apply because it's happening from somebody else's body emanating towards me. So then if there's 3,000 miles away, I have to employ something different to make a change.
Okay.
But if you have none of that background, you just don't know. You just know that you're feeling really upset or anxious or
threatened or
threatened, and it may not actually be happening in your sphere of influence whatsoever.
Well, so there's information coming in. You can't separate it consciously. But I would think that on the unconscious place, that's where the threat feels, where the insecurity is felt, where trust comes into play, because there's that place in all of us that knows what's going on. And whether it's consciously held or not, that's a totally different thing. So, and that's what we're looking to do, is to get it congruent, that you can hear or feel or sense that internal consciousness at play and what it has to offer you, right? And some people are going to go, well, they go with their gut, and that's that emotional resonance. And we're going even deeper than that. We're going to the place of being able to see all the parts and how they're interacting together. And then we get to choose how that fits into our individual stories and how we co-create and stuff. So there's a lot. And so whoever's listening, listeners, listen and find those people that can help you deal with this in a non-judgmental, nurturing sort of way, which is what we look for.
Yeah, and my hope is by the end of the show that you will also feel this expansiveness as consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So that you're not interpreting this as something happening to you or something terrible, but you'll be in this state of excitement. Because when I am operating as consciousness, I am aligned as consciousness, it is the ultimate in non-resistance, is the way I describe it. And it's a very clear and exciting, ecstatic, loving. I was in this affinity for all mankind. And when I'm at that place, then I'm not experiencing people's anxiety that can rock my boat. That is passing through. I'm able to, respond rather than react, like you were saying. I'm able to respond to somebody having a difficulty without absorbing their emotional state for them.
Now, I would feel peace and calm and flow. And you use the word excitement. So are these all existing in the same place?
Yes. My rule of thumb is that if it is something that is positive, that it is aligned as consciousness. And if it's something that is negative or limiting, then that's coming from your body personality. Got it. So so how you were experiencing it. So Janet, it's like if you drop into heart space, which is this amazing well of well-being, and when you and I join together in heart space, it's always like I'm floating down a river holding a Mai Tai kind of thing. And when I'm expanded in a different way, I'm more in action with it, but I am feeling excited about it because, it's a creation as consciousness. It is my creativity at play.
It's the playground.
Yes, it's that aspect. So the childlike wonder, the amusement, the sense of play and fun is also an aspect of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. I think it's at base, it's at core, and that's something that been showing up, and maybe I mentioned it last week, is consciousness core, right? Heart also means core essence of all. But I'm realizing that the consciousness core is not this small little thing inside of us. We go to look for it just to locate it, to say we know it's in there. But it's this expansive, it is everything. So all of us falls into the core of consciousness. And it's that was very helpful. I could feel a difference in some organization in that. And so nothing's outside of consciousness. Nothing's outside of the core essence. We're all in it. And everything in it is an aspect of consciousness. Now, on a personal level, there's people, places, things that I might not enjoy or like or appreciate to the degree that I'd like to. But as consciousness, hey, I fully appreciate that. And that was something that got mentioned in group about full appreciation as opposed to conditional appreciation. And being aware that we are our creators. We are our own creation and we are creating all the time. And so if you fully appreciate whatever it is that you're partaking in that level, does it change it? And it does. I can feel that. So.
Yes. Appreciation is such a wonderful term. And I also have found that it's actually a good analogy for money. You're expressing appreciation when you go out to a good meal. And when someone is paying you for service, they're expressing appreciation to you. So when you shift it from the idea of money to appreciation, the flow changes in your life.
Well, is there a difference between how you feel when you pay for a bad meal? Or does the value of appreciation change? And, I think that's what we're talking about, is it's easy to appreciate when we feel good about something, right? It's challenging to appreciate when it makes us uneasy or not feel good.
So let me ask you a question about that, Janet, because you just redirected something that was a positive towards a negative. And so is our intention, is this to keep redirecting our audience audience back towards negative possibilities, or is the intention in this conversation to direct them to a more expansive state?
I think it's to direct and fully appreciate that how you interact with information around you can come from any angle, and it's all good. There is no negative, there is no positive. And so how you experience the information is what's key. And in bringing wisdom and insight to all of it. And I'm not saying, see, that creates resistance, because I think pain is as important as joy. I think they have a different physical experience, maybe a different emotional resonance or so, but they're all part of the spectrum. And I'm not doing myself any service by saying things only show up the way I want them when I'm consciously wanting them. Things show up the way I want them when I'm unconscious. And there's no difference for me.
Yeah, anymore. So that's kind of interesting, because I never said that, but I think you might have said something to that effect earlier. Mm-hmm. So the thing that when I am in consciousness, then I am appreciating everything, even if something does seem to be negative.
Yeah.
Because in that kind of creative way that, when you go to Disneyland, and you're going to go on a certain ride, you're going to get wet. Or it's going to be really, really fast. Mm-hmm. And so if you realize that this whole world is a playground of experiences, and at one level you might not want to be muddy, but at your expanded level, mud is a great thing.
Yeah. And it's part of the experience, right? You accepted that. It's like going to Gallagher. Everybody took plastic because that was part of the experience.
You're going to be wearing your garbage bag. Right?
And if you didn't want to get wet, you sat in the back, right?
So Gallagher is maybe still, he's a comedian who one of his routines is to hit watermelon with a sledgehammer. So if you're anywhere in the first few rows, you're going to get watermelon sprayed all over you.
And
so
other things.
You could pretty much say that when you sign up to come into a body, you're going to feel some discomfort, and that how you perceive that discomfort can be more or less debilitating. So there is a thing about sort of going into the experience, and it expands it, and you have not limited it with a label that keeps you from moving with it.
It's our attachment to things, Joan, always, that gives them meaning. And you can take whatever, which is really a neutral thing. How you feel about something is neutral. What you do with it, how you interpret it, is another thing. And we really have to, if we don't judge, if we judge, or if we're saving our judgments for those things that keep us perhaps physically safe, or our attachments, we're always going to be attached. We're always going to judge. We're going to do these things because our ultimate goal probably is to survive the body, right? And
wait, gonna break you down on that.
Yeah.
What do you mean our ultimate goal is to survive the body?
Well, I think it's that life goes on, right? And for a lot of people, they hold that the body is this temporary place, and they'd rather not be in it. And so their intent of how they experience consciousness is maybe a little different than someone else's. I think it's just within all our frameworks of how we set up who we are in our life and what we are. Well, and,
Yeah, it doesn't make, the sentence, the statement of we're going to survive the body doesn't make any sense to me, since the body, the body isn't going to make it out of this lifetime alive. But as consciousness,
we know that, right?
The issue of survival to consciousness doesn't make any sense, because as consciousness, you exist. There is no death as consciousness.
Yeah.
So it's more about how you are going to be in your body and experience the ride. Mm-hmm. And, as consciousness, you have infinite appreciation. You have just a great, great love for the physical form that is your vehicle in this lifetime. So
it's funny how we set up these things, right? And people have all kinds of people listen to us for a myriad of reasons, Right? There's no one right answer. There's no answer. There's just we be, and we be together. And I'm just looking to always appreciate the wonder that we each truly are, and the wonder that we share as consciousness. And you know what grace is about. What grace is about is
So let's hold that space for grace.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that's a wonderful energy you've just brought in. So we have to take another commercial break, but hold the space for grace, and we will be back talking about spiritual remodels when you come back. Right back.
Would you like a fresh approach to the challenges you are dealing with? Take a journey into your enlightenment with Janet Barrett. Janet is a subtle energies empath accessing the field of potential with warmth, humor, and support. She will help you to hear what your inner voice is saying. She will share with you how to appreciate who you are now and offer you new ways to understand and transform your issues. Reach her at www.janetandbeyond.com. That's janetandbeyond.com. Again, janetandbeyond.com. Transformation is possible. You can enjoy new outcomes in your current experiences. They can happen in the blink of an eye. Is your soul calling you to do something more meaningful with your life? Do you feel crazy for wanting to quit your secure job? Perhaps you are waiting until you retire to do what you love. Maybe you are too daunted to follow your dream. If any of these match your life, then Joan Newcomb's Purpose and Passion Coaching Program is just for you. In just 12 weeks, you will discover who you essentially are and why you are here. Learn to live as your greater self and navigate with conscious mastery. Go to joan-newcomb.com. That's joan-newcomb.com for all of her coaching programs.
You are listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. To reach our program, please send questions and comments to consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. That's consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. Now, back to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet.
Welcome back. You're listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. I'm your host, Joan, along here with Janet, and we have been talking about spring cleaning and spiritual remodels.
Remodeling. I like that idea. That means you don't get rid of everything, but sometimes you can, right? I mean, you might as well take it down to the bones.
Well, a remodel implies that you've actually, that something's being improved. Something's being expanded. You're remodeling. You're giving yourself a chef's kitchen kind of thing.
Well, but there's two ways to look at that. Is that sometimes you ever go into a house that's been poorly remodeled?
So how about redirecting that? So yes, Janet, redirect that towards the positive. So in this experience, we're all expanding towards greater consciousness.
Yes, and it's appreciating how sometimes, I'm not attached to it being one way or the other. It's all good to me. I'm just looking at how people might view that in their own experience and go, well, just a minute. And I'm like, so what? So there's your moment, and you noticed it a certain way, and that's just part of it. It's not the stopping part. A lot of people have an aversion to interpreting things as negative. I don't have that aversion because I'm not attached to it in that level. I'm just attached to it as, that's a rapid in the water, and it makes it interesting when the water goes by it, and that's my focus on it. So I think I'm okay with being able to notice those different places. All of this is uplifting. There's never any question in my mind that it isn't. And so many people are looking to feel okay, Joan, right? And it's like, that's great too. We want to feel okay. We want to know from as consciousness within each of us, when the body may say it doesn't feel good, consciousness is saying we're all right. That's what this whole thing is about.
Yes, which is exactly what I've been saying as well.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting because I feel like I've been bringing up statements that let people know that, and then I hear a redirect towards a discomfort, which could very well be me just not understanding that you're also saying the same thing that I'm saying, using different language.
Really.
Which is why this, the thing I appreciate about this show is that you and I bring a unity of awareness, but a different way of expressing it, so that we can reach more people than if it was just, you doing the show by yourself or me doing the show by myself. Yeah. It would only appeal to a certain aspect of the population, whereas this reaches so many more people because they can hear things that you say versus the things that I say.
Right.
So.
And it's all about wonder. That's my word.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
it's all about wonder.
That is great.
And sometimes we can't recognize it because we're stuck in thinking what that means. And it's like, it can be very challenging for people to reorganize, and that's what this whole show's about. In reorienting a thought, a belief, an emotion that's been in there, that's been misdirected or misinterpreted or owned when it was just a moment. And it can go that easily. And how we, in our incredible capacity to create habituated thoughts and go and have brains and make decisions and choices. And if you just take all the judgment out of it, I love whatever it is. Any more in my life, I don't mind the pain. I don't, I'm like, okay, I'm not grooving on it here, but I appreciate it as part of the whole. It's as part of the journey, as part of the whatever. Now, that can certainly
Janet,
yeah.
I wanted to jump in. Yes, well, what I wanted to do was you were in a lovely space there, and then you started meandering on to the other four little word there. So everybody, the state that Janet was in, talking about the appreciation and that lovely, rafting down the river feeling that we have. We want you to join us beyond the show at our website, ConsciousConversationsWithJoanandJanet.com. You can listen to our other podcasts there. You can read the blogs. Janet writes wonderful ones, and so do I. And you can learn about our sessions that we have there and our meetups. And you can also see our YouTube channels. I have one and the show has one. We're also on Twitter and Facebook. So we invite you to join us after the show at our website, ConsciousConversationsWithJoanandJanet.com.
That's where we be. Yeah. Oh, so you can join me for Fuzzy Photons on Thursdays via Zoom if you'd like. And Joan's got all kinds of wonderful things she's doing all the time that you'll always find posted there. So, yeah, let's get out there and enjoy life, people.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So what else would we want them to know?
In the last 30
seconds
minutes or something, that this is a remodel that is expanding.
Yeah.
That it is clearing so that there is more spaciousness and room for you to be in this world, and that you as consciousness are infinitely creative and capable and powerful, and everything that is showing up is an example of your creativity. So hey, high five, because it's a pretty fun game out here.
Yeah, whether you consider life goes on or not, it's all about this moment. And so how do you want to frame this moment? And because hopefully you'll have another moment and things will happen in those moments, and it's what you do with it. So you don't have to think about whether you're here, there, or anywhere. It's just your moment and reorganizing around that.
And we appreciate you sharing your moment with us. So regardless of when you're listening to this, because as consciousness, there is no time or space. So if you're listening to this podcast many years hence, or if you're live on the line now, you have helped co-create this morphic field, this moment with us, and we so appreciate your presence in our lives.
Yeah, and hopefully we've touched on things that you connect to. So keep us posted on how you're doing with your journey, and you can write to us at our www. What is it?
Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet.com. You've been listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. I'm your host, Joan, along here with Janet.
Thanks, everyone. It's just been wonderful to be with you again.
Tune in next week, same time, same channels.
You've been listening to Conscious Conversations with Joan and Janet. And thanks so much for helping to co-create the show, no matter if you're listening live or on demand. You energetically contribute to our collective experience. Joan and Janet love to hear from you and invite you to email your comments and ideas for them to explore each week. Contact them at consciouswithjoanandjanet@gmail.com. Tune in next week for another great show, and until then, keep enjoying this wonderful adventure we call life.